Welcome to Lee Anderson's Real World, and today I'm joined by former UKIP leader, that is Henry Bolton. Nice to meet you, Henry. Matthew Stadlen, who's a political commentator. He's our left in the corner. He's wearing a Tory tie today though, aren't you, Matthew? I think you've been forced to wear that.
This is actually, Lee, the tie that I got married in because my wife is a Conservative and she hoodwinked me into getting a Tory blue tie for the most important day of my life.
Well, there you go, you see. There you go.
Today.
Look, guys, we're going to get straight to it. All this talk of ties is making me feel dizzy.
You started it, Lee.
I didn't start it. The Rwanda ruling this week, Henry, is a bit of a shocker for me. I felt sick to the pit of my stomach. I wanted to get these flights off, get these illegal migrants out of our country and to a third safe country. Is it going to work eventually?
I think the government can get it across the line. Yeah. I mean, I think the Supreme Court has laid out the requirements that need to be met in order for it to be, in their view, legal under the present legal framework. Yeah. Obviously, the Prime Minister has now come up with the idea of coming up with some extraordinary legislation to help get it across the line. It can work. The problems I have with it are twofold, Lee. One is that all the eggs are in one basket. It seems to me that the government is expecting the Rwanda plan to be the solution to the small boats. I don't believe it is. It may be part of the solution, and that's why I support it. But it is not the solution. There's sort of migration, immigration, asylum, all of the drivers of that, all of the criminal organisations who are involved in this, and all of the things that pull them to the UK. It's a highly complex thing. And to really put all your eggs in that one plan, it's not going to have a big impact at all. The other thing that I've got an issue with is why is it that there are not other things going on at the same time?
It's not just all of the eggs in one basket. We have been working on other stuff. Crossings are down by about 30% from last year. We've got the returns agreement with Albania. They've stopped coming pretty much altogether. So it's not just about having all the eggs in one basket. It's about dealing with other countries as well. Let me just bring Matthew in. Matthew.
Well, let me start by saying that no one wants to see these crossings because they are very, very dangerous and they endanger the lives of people. Let me say a second thing. The gangs of people who bring these people across or send them across are very, very bad people. And the British government, and you are the deputy chair of the governing party, the British government needs to be doing a hell of a lot more, in my view, to get a grip of these gangs. Do I think that the Rwanda policy is a good policy? No, I don't. And I'll tell you exactly why. Because, and the Supreme Court agreed with this, Rwanda is not a safe country. The president of Rwanda, Kagame, has been in power since 2000. It is, as I understand it, an authoritarian regime. It might be nice to go and see the gorillas in Rwanda for a holiday. It's a beautiful country. I've got nothing against the people of Rwanda, but it is not a safe country if you are an asylum seeker. Let me say something else, and this is really important. You have a position, Lee, of enormous significance and responsibility. And yesterday, and you'll tell me if I'm misquoting you, you said that the government should break the law and get these flights in the air despite the ruling of the Supreme Court. That means that you don't believe in the rule of law.
Hold on a minute, Matthew. Yes, I am the Deputy Chairman of the Conservative Party, and over the past 2 years we've passed 2 acts of Parliament to try and stop the illegal migration. That's the Borders Bill and the Illegal Migration Bill. Look, the Supreme Court disagreed with it. I'll tell you what, go outside in the real world, come up to Ashfield, speak to real people, and 90% will get behind me. It's an absolute travesty of justice, this is, in my opinion.
But like I say, people might support you, Lee, and they have every right to support your view, okay? Yeah. You have a right to express your view.
Of course.
However, let's be clear about the view that you are expressing and that you're claiming support for. You want a decision made in a British court, the highest court in our land, the Supreme Court, to be broken by the government. I'm not saying that Parliament can't change the law. Of course, Parliament can change the law, and Rishi Sunak is going to try to do that. What he's going to try to do is totally absurd. He's going to try and persuade Parliament to pretend that Rwanda is a safe country when it isn't.
Come back to that, Andrew, I just want to say, because there were people, and a good friend of mine comes on this show on a regular basis, Simon Danchuk. He's married to a Rwandan lady. He spends all his time in Rwanda. I think he's got business there, he's got a house there. It's the safest country in Africa. He has a good life there. And I think, Matthew, to be quite honest, the good people of Rwanda will be quite offended with your comments there. Henry?
I agree, it is safe, but the problem is that the Supreme Court has ruled as it has. And I would like to go back. Rwanda has become the focus of all of this. We should be actually focusing not on Rwanda as such, but on the comprehensive management of our borders and the proper management of our immigration. And the legislation that government has passed is flawed because it has been designed to deal with specific issues that have arisen rather than facilitate that effective management of our borders and immigration. And I have helped numerous countries to deal with this at cabinet level. Ironically, I was paid by the UK government, which will not listen to me at the moment. The first thing you've got to do is look at what you want to achieve overall with your borders. There are massive problems, not only with immigration, but also all the cocaine and heroin that comes across our borders. And the legal facilitation needs to be put in place. Parliament needs to decide what it wants to achieve on our borders, and then comprehensively, and then you've got to have a borders bill. What we did was conflate immigration with borders, mistake number one, and draft legislation accordingly. That is why it's now been found wanting and government's in a difficult position.
We had a broken asylum system in this
Indeed.
country. We did. And we have got people, it's a whole industry now of traffickers, of whoever who's making millions and millions of pounds of this. But I want to go back to Matthew now. Matthew, I've been to Calais, been to France, I've been to the camps, and believe me, I've said it on this show many times, that the vast majority of young men I spoke to were not genuine asylum seekers. They were not displaced people. They were people coming for economic reasons. And the words they kept saying to me as they pointed to the cliffs of Dover was El Dorado. El Dorado. They were coming for that, and who can blame them?
So it's good that you, as an elected politician, have been on the ground in northern France and spoken to people. I think, at least for 1 year, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, the majority of people coming over on the boats eventually did get at least a temporary order saying that they were genuine asylum seekers or that they could continue along the process. So a lot of the people who are coming, and by the way, I've said already, we've got to try to stop the boats because they're very dangerous. A lot of the people who are coming are genuine asylum seekers. Do I want illegal immigration in this country? No, I don't. Do I think that the government has got a grip of it? No, I don't. One final thing, because this is important, this issue of whether Rwanda is a safe country. Do you think that Saudi Arabia is a safe country? If you or I went as tourists to Saudi Arabia, we'd probably feel safe because there's a law and order in that country. But what underpins that law and order? An authoritarian, non-democratic regime that has horrendous punishments.
Well, I'm not aware, Henry, of any illegal migrants being sent to Saudi Arabia. But do you agree with, Matthew says that most of these people are given asylum status. He's right about 60 or 70%.
He's right, but
are they genuine asylum?
No, they are not. What we've got there is a problem with the process of granting them that status. It is flawed. It is under-resourced. It is the people carrying out the assessments don't have the relevant training or the knowledge of the places that these people have come from. They are entirely ill-equipped to make those decisions, and they are under pressure to make those decisions as quickly as possible now. The idea that just because 60-odd% are granted asylum, even if it's a temporary status, is not reliable because the process is itself unreliable.
We've already seen the immigration lawyers. There was a clip on a few months back, cheating the system.
Indeed, and they do. And you're absolutely right. I've also dealt with these people on the ground, the criminals. I've been out there kicking in doors and arresting criminals along with law enforcement agencies elsewhere. I've been pulling these people out of cellars and everything else. There are people who are exploited, human trafficked, but most of them are absolutely economic migrants. They may have left somewhere because the conditions there aren't very pleasant, but that is a very different thing to fleeing for your life or when you get to Italy deciding that you're going to head towards the UK.
Matthew, thank you. Got a little bit feisty there in the middle, but it was a great debate. I'd love to have you both back on at some stage because that was really, really good. But look,